Hey and welcome back to another Darkfall tutorial. Today we're going to be doing a Hollywood airbrush type effect, as you can see in the example here. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that we're in Cycles Render. Also make sure the resolution is the same as the movie clip that you're using. And also we want to make sure this percentage slider is at 100% as well. So now we can change this over to the node editor. Then as always we want to change this to the scene tab. Check use nodes and also check backdrop as well. So we can delete this render layer here, so press X and delete that. Shift A, input movie clip. And I just want to connect this up to the composite node. We also want to see what we're doing, so Shift A, go to output, add a viewer node. Also connect that up as well. So now we can go ahead and load in the movie clip. So this is the movie clip that I'm using, and I'll throw a link in the description as well if you want to download this. There's a few things that I want to do. First, get rid of the dark circles under the eyes, then maybe touch the skin and make it look a lot smoother and more Hollywood looking. And then finally we just want to change the proportion of her nose. Now obviously there's nothing wrong with her nose, she's a beautiful woman, but in Hollywood I might want to do things like that. So first thing we want to do is create a whole bunch of masks. So let's change this over from the node editor to the movie clip editor. Then we want to select this icon here and load in the movie clip. Now we can set scene frames, which will set the length of the timeline for us. So this is a very short clip, but this will work for any length. And then we would just want to hit prefetch, which will load in the clip. As you can see, the way she just moves a little bit from the left to the right, but this will work for left and right, up and down, any kind of motion that's not got rotation. If you did have some rotation, you would have to do things a little bit differently, but for this example, it's very simple. Jump back to the first frame. So we need to create a tracking marker. So again, location will be fine since there's no rotation in this. The match, we can change this to previous frame. Then we want to check normalize. These will help track things a little bit better. We also want to check search size as well. So now if we hold Control and left click, we can create a tracking marker. Now I'm going to pick, say, this point here. So Control, then left click. This seems like a good point since the mouth doesn't really change as we play through it. So now if we press S, scale this way up. Now normally you wouldn't scale a tracking marker up this big. If you had, say, 8 or 9 of them or even more tracking markers, it would be way too big. But for this example, since we're only using one tracking marker, we can go quite big with this. Press G to move it around. And also this is the search area, so what we can do, since it's not really moving that fast, we can lower this down, just speed things up a bit. Okay, so now we've got this, we can scroll down and just track this forward. Now if you play through, just make sure it doesn't jump up or change direction. That looks good. So now we can go ahead and create a whole bunch of masks. So change this from the tracking mode to the masking mode. And the first mask I'm going to create is for the dark circles. We've created quite a few masks in the past and you're probably already used to this, but if not, I'm just going to quickly go through it. Select a new mask and we're going to name this Under Eyes. Or you can rename this anything you want. So now I'm going to press Control and left click, and every time I click whilst holding Control, I can create these markers like this. And then when I get to the end, if I hold Alt and then press C, it'll just close the mask. Now I can just select these points and just refine them until I get something like this. So now it looks okay, but we want it to be more of a fluid shape. So if we press A to deselect that point, then press A again to select everything. If we press V, we can choose the handle type. Now if we select automatic, it will automatically figure out a way to make this look good. So now since we have this marker selected, we can tell that since it's white, what we can do since we've got both of these selected is if we hit Control, then press P, it's now parented this mask to this tracking point. So now as we move through, you can see this moves as well. So now I'm going to do the same thing for the other side, but instead of creating a whole new mask, I'm just going to create a new layer. So this was this layer here. We just rename this. Do that properly. And then if we select this icon here, we can no longer change this, which is good. Then if we hit the plus button, we've created a whole new layer within this mask. Let's rename this. And since we've got this layer selected, we can go ahead and create a new layer. So do the same thing over here. Control left click, then Alt C to close the mask. Refine the points if you need to. And then I'm going to press A, and then A again. Press V, automatic. And if you need to refine this, you can play around with these handles and pull things and make it look a lot better, but that works. So again, press A to select them all, then hold Control and press P. And again, that's made a parent. So that's the under eyes done, and I'm going to do the same thing for everything else. So let's go ahead and create a whole new mask. And this is going to be for the nose. Now this is going to be done in two parts. I need to do the left side and then the right side in two separate masks, and I'll explain later on, but for now I'm just going to create the first side. So this is going to be the left side. If we hit, again, press Control, left click, and I'm just going to create kind of a rough shape like this. I want to go to about here. Then press Alt C to close that. So I'm just going to refine this a bit more. When you're happy with that, press A, and then press A again, then press V, automatic, just as we did before. But when we do that, you see this messes up here, so if we press Control V just to go back, and then before I do that, I want to press B to box select or border select. And if we hold the middle mouse wheel and drag, just want to get rid of, I'll do that again, press B, middle mouse wheel, just deselect these. Now if we press V, then automatic, that looks a lot better. I just didn't want this to be curvy, I just wanted this to be straight. So also what I want to do is just straighten this one as well, so just drag this in, like so. So that's the shape I want to go for. Press A to select everything, press Control, then P. So now it's parented. So now we've got this on. We want to create a whole new mask and do it for the same thing but for the right side. But before I do that, if I hold, while I've got these selected, if I hold Control and then C, now I've just copied these. Let's create a new mask. And now if I press Control V, this will just paste this in. So this is the same as before. We're just going to use this as a guide. So if we come over to the mask layers here, what we can do, just name delete so we know what this layer is going to be, and also make sure we can't select it. So now let's create a new layer, and this is the one that we're going to keep. With this layer selected, we can just Control left click like we did before. As you can see, I'm leaving a gap here between the nose. We're going to be pulling this side and this side closer together, but we're going to keep the center piece. So that looks good. Again, press A to select everything. If we press B, select the middle mouse wheel, just deselect these, or you can deselect these however you want. Then press V, automatic, press A, Control P, and now that's parented as well. So now we can select this delete layer and just delete it, we don't need it. So now we've got the nose masks done. So I'm going to create one more mask, which is for the overall sort of airbrush effect for the skin. So let's create a new mask. Just call this skin. And again, we're going to create a few layers. So I'm going to start maybe with this side here. Control left click. And you get the idea now. It's the same technique as select everything. Hold Control, hit P. So now if we make sure we can't select this, create a new layer, and do the exact same thing over this side. Okay, so there's our masks. So that's most of the work done. We change this now back over to the node editor. Okay, so the first thing we could probably do is the nose. Shift A, go to color, mix, drop this in here. I've dropped this one onto the composite node. If you have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled, you can just press Control, or you can hold Control Shift and then left click on a node. Or if not, just connect this up to the viewer node the old-fashioned way, I guess. Shift A, let's go to Input, add in a mask. And this is going to be the nose left. Plug this into the factor. Then let's duplicate this, select the mix node, Shift D. Just duplicate that, and also plug that into the viewer node as well. And then we also want to duplicate this, Shift D. First, let's change this to the nose right. Plug this into the factor as well. So now we have this weird looking thing. We want to take this image feed and plug this into the mix here. Shift A, distort, translate, just drop this in. And then we want to take this feed again and plug this into here. Same thing, select this, Shift D, duplicate. So now what we have, if we move this on the X in positive, this side moves in. And if we move this on the negative, this side moves in. We still need to do a bit of work to blend it in, but you get the idea. If we just set this back to 0, and this back to 0, you guys know me, I like to make things easy, so Shift A, go to Input, add a value node. Let's just set this to 0, which should be default. Plug this into the X, and this into the X. If we Shift A, go to Color, Invert, just drop this here. Now when we move this value, the nose will shrink. So again, we want to choose a value that looks kind of natural. I mean, the more we move this, I'd say around 6 or 7 kind of looks good. But as you notice, there's something we need to fix. We have some sharp, harsh lines here, 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 and here. So let's go ahead and fix them now. Shift A, go to Filter, Blur, just drop this in here after the mask. So play around with these values, find something that works for your scene. Each scene will be different. Let's say maybe 20 by 20 should be good for this example. So maybe even 30. Looks pretty good. Once we're happy with this, we can just Shift D and duplicate it, drop it onto this mask. Same thing for this side. Looks a lot better. So that's the reason why we kept the original nose in the middle, just so we could blend it all in, make it look nicer. So let's just see before and after. If we select this value here and just press M to mute it, we'll see before and after. So there's not much difference except it's smaller. You know, you could take this into the extreme and go a lot more. Depends on how you want it, but you'd have to blur it more. You could even go into the opposite value, take it to minus and give her a big nose, if that's the effect that you're going for. But again, I think she looks very beautiful as she is, but if you're in Hollywood and you want to reduce things, I guess this is a way to do it. Also, you should note this will only work for a forward shot like this. If she's turned or profile, it wouldn't work, so you would have to find a different way around it, but for this example, it works perfectly. There's quite a few nodes there just for the nose, so let's go ahead and tidy things up. If we press B, just select all of these, then hit Ctrl J. This will create a frame. So now we've done that, we can move on and do the under eyes, which is very simple. Shift A, and it's pretty much the same sort of technique. So Shift A, go to color, then mix. I'm just going to drop this on the bottom one, connect this up to the viewer node. Shift A, add in, go to input, then mask. Select the under eyes mask. Can see where it's affecting. So let's drag this out, plug this into the image, Shift A, go to filter, add in a blur, drop this on the bottom string. Then we would just want to blur this quite a bit. Now this is the reason why we did 2 separate blurs, one for the under eyes, and then we're going to have another blur for the overall skin, since the skin doesn't need blurring half as much as this one. So for this under eyes, let's blur it, say maybe 50 or 60. It looks a lot better, but you'll probably notice that if we zoom in, you'll notice it's very sharp again, so we need to add a blur for this one. Shift A, filter, blur, and for this one maybe 20 or 30. But for your scene it might be different, so always play around with the values to get something that works for you. So another thing we can do to make this look better is to change the color. Shift A, go to color, RGB curves, drop this right after the blur, and then we just want to increase this a little bit just to kind of make this brighter. So if we see before and then after, looks a lot better. So now let's airbrush the skin. Shift A, go to color. Again, it's the same sort of technique as we did for the under eyes. It's pretty much exactly the same technique, just different values. So Shift A, go to color, mix, just drop this in. I'm going to go through this a little bit faster since it's the same technique. You guys are probably getting bored of it by now. Plug in the mask, then we want to choose the skin layer, which is that overall. If we unplug this, so overall skin kind of looks like that. So we want to plug this into the bottom, Shift A, go to filter, add in a blur, drop this in. Now for this one, it doesn't need that much, so maybe 20. Or 30, depends on how blurry or how airbrush I guess you want to add to it. If we mute this before, then after. Now also, if you zoom in, we'll have harsh lines just like before, so we need to add another blur for this one. In fact, what we can do is just Shift D and duplicate this one, and then change this to maybe 30 or 40. You want to zoom in and make sure that it blends in well, but from doing this previous, I think that was a good value. So again, let's tidy things up. Press B, Control J. And then the last thing we could probably do is add some colour to the cheeks, either makeup or just add blush colour. So we would need to create another mask. You're probably sick of me creating masks, but let's just jump back to the movie clip editor. This is going to be very simple. Shift A, color, mix, and you can add color in pretty much any way you want. Let's just add the mask first. So choose skin, plug this in. So there's quite a few ways you can add color. You could probably add it straight into from this mix node if you want, but I'm just gonna plug this in again. Shift A, go to color, and add a color balance. Just drop this onto the bottom one here, and then what I want to do is just drag. This is for, by the way, this is for the lift. If I just drag this into the pink section a little bit, add some pinks. So that's clearly not right. I selected the wrong mask here. Just choose the makeup. That's the one that we wanted. Select this again. Now it should just add color to the cheeks. There you go. So as before, we just need to blend this in. So Shift A, go to filter, blur, drop this in after the mask. And for this one, I'm going to be generous, let's say 60. Because I want this to be quite faded, quite blurred. That looks a lot better, more realistic. As for the colour, I mean, that's subjective. You can go with whatever colour you want. If you want less colour, what you could do is just reduce the factor. Give you more of a natural look. So if we see before, and then after, it's not much. It's very subtle if that's what you're looking for. So then you can go ahead and add your final color grade, and what I'm going to do is just go to color, RGB curves, drop this in here. I want to make it a bit brighter, just a touch, like so. Make it really stand out, and then go ahead and add in a color balance. So if we look at the before and after, this is before, and this is after. So it's kind of Hollywood airbrush effect, very unrealistic, very fake, and airbrushed is the only kind of word I can think of. But when you're happy with everything, you want to go ahead and render this out. Let's go down, let's change this from PNG to FFmpeg video. Make sure you check encoding, and then for the presets, I'm going to choose H.264 in MP4 format. Make sure you select the output as well, so you know where this is going to save to, and then go ahead and hit animation. So hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. It was fun to kind of play around with things and do something different. If you did enjoy this tutorial, give it a like. Also, if you make something cool, make sure you throw a link in our Facebook group. It's always good to see what you guys are creating. So as always, thanks for watching. See you next time.